Yeah. Yo, step into the ring where the stories get raw. Junkyard James spitting truth, no flaw. Beyond the junkyard, the tales collide. Wrestling's wild side, come and take the ride. Chairs fly, ropes snap, legends unfold. Every move, every slam, the drama is gold. From the underground brawls to the title fights, we break it all down under spotlight nights. Beyond the junkyard, where the stories get told. Steel cages, bright lights, the moment so bold. From the past to the future, the mat stays strong. Junkyard James, keep it real all day long. Tune in, strap up, it's about to get wild. Powerbomb the truth, no sugar, no mild. Every heel, every face, every match that burns. The junkyard delivers, now it's your turn. So hit play, no delay, the bell has rung. Beyond the junkyard, where the legends are sung. Junkyard James got the mic in his grip. Wrestling podcast vibes, now let's take the trip.
Yo, welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. My name is Junkyard James. You can follow me on social media at IBEJYJ. That's IBEJYJ. Welcome to the show. We got a good Saturday solo episode for you all today. We're going to jump into my belief as an early proponent of the AEW tag team division, and someone that thinks it's still something that could work. I'm going to give you my assumption, again with no insider knowledge, as to why I think the women's tag team scene is not working. We'll get into that as well as in our monologue segment today. We're going to answer, I'm going to give Tony Khan some advice, and that is the title of this episode. And so we'll get into that advice in the monologue today. But first, we gotta represent our friends over at W Energy. They're your taste buds' new favorite energy drink. W Energy is a powdered energy drink that replaces the other inferior caffeine beverages, containing 0 maltodextrin, 0 fillers, 0 artificial colors or dyes, and none of those proprietary blends. The star of W Energy is the coffee fruit extract, which helps you focus without the jitters or the crash. Thank you for W Energy for being a partner of the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. And as a special gift for being a listener to the podcast, if you go to w.gg and use code Beyond the Yard at checkout, you can save 10% using the code Beyond the Yard. Save 10% at checkout at w.gg. They got wonderful flavors. They got like s'mores now, sour gummy bears. Go ahead, try it yourself, and then let me know what you guys think of W Energy. Use the code Beyond the Yard at w.gg to save 10%. Thank you to W Energy for partnering with this show. We got some additional housekeeping real quick before we jump in. Make sure you hit the like button if you're watching on YouTube, that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Leave a comment. Let us know what you think of my opinions on this show. Like, comment, share this with your wrestling friends and your wrestling groups, whatever it may be. Let everybody you know who likes pro wrestling know about the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. Turn on those notifications on YouTube. If you're listening to this on the audio platform, you're probably a month late because I'm always late uploading these episodes to the audio only format. But go ahead and give us a like or a follow there. Give us a 5-star review. or maybe you want to be like Dave Meltzer and you won't give a rating like he's continuously not rating that Mile World and Mercedes Moné match. But gonna give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or Amazon or wherever you're listening to your podcasts. All right. Yeah. Let's jump into today's show. The first thing I want to talk about is this AEW women's tag team scene. We are going into the tag team scene. I think we're almost at a year now that we have had the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. I think we're almost at a year now. I think it's been probably been a year in a couple months now. So 8, 9, 10 months into this title being in existence, and I can't name one particular defining moment of the history of the show of the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships being predominantly featured. So the reign of the titles was the first day the titles were won was December 10th of 2025. So we're about 6-7 months into having the reign. And how many pay-per-views have they been on? How many big events have they been on? How many tag teams have we established in the division? Right? Like the first ever women's tag team was just a kind of a throwaway of two singles wrestlers who didn't have anything going for them in the singles division, and so they threw them together, the Babes of Wrath, and they turned them into a tag team, but they originally weren't a tag team. I think at the time, actually, Willow Nightingale was still TBS champion, so we had that double champion there at one point in time. And now with Divine Dominion locking the division down, with Ty Mello assumingly getting her release, as Tony Khan said on the media call for AEW Redemption, that he will grant her release. So now Anna Jay is without a tag team partner. What tag teams have AEW established in the female tag division? And the answer is he hasn't really established any outside of Divine Dominion. And that's a problem. That's a big problem. And I hope and pray, and I'm, that something gets found out. But where did they go wrong with this project? Right now, part of me thinks that this is just, Tony Khan had bigger plans for like Ty J and some of these other tag teams that were there back in October, November, when they announced the championship, the creation of the championship. That he had bigger plans for some of these tag teams, and injuries kind of deterred things, and maybe that's why it's not super prominent right now. But I don't want to give that much luxury. I don't want to give that much leeway to Tony Khan on this, because he has the women. He can make tag teams. He can create good storytelling in this division. And I think the issue where it's gone wrong isn't necessarily that the women aren't performing or whatever it may be. It really does seem like with every issue in the women's division in AEW, it comes down to, if it's not Toni Storm and it's not Mercedes Moné, AEW as a whole just really doesn't give a shit about the women's division. And Willow kind of has some moments, but at the end of the day, is Willow really, like, are they really booking her as good as they could? Tekla seems to be a big thing, but she doesn't get TV time every week. The Sisters of Sin would be a great tag team, and yeah, they had their moment, but it was like a 2-week story instead of, that gets fulfilled uh, at a Dynamite instead of on the pay-per-view. Why just, I don't know what the issue is, and why Tony Khan seemingly cannot book a convincing storyline in the women's division if it doesn't include Tony Storm and it doesn't include Mercedes Moné. It seems like though, and most times it's like that's easy money. Like, those are two of the greatest female wrestlers in today's game, so they're always going to hit. Every story they're a part of is going to be great. And this is my issue of why, like, I think Maya World should have beaten Mercedes Moné for the shot at Wembley, because it would have given us something different and would have told a different story, and then now you have the complete collapse of Mercedes Moné. But now we're going back to what, Mercedes Moné winning the title that she hasn't ever won. It seems like that's where the story is going. Not to say I don't want to see Mercedes Moné win the women's title, but that's the only logical conclusion that we get to. And now you've had some tag teams in the women's division that just, like, injuries have not panned out in their favor. The timeless love bombs, Mina Shirakawa and Tony Storm. Now Tony Storm has been out for several months now, and hopefully she comes back soon. Obviously, like Ty J, they've been dealing with some stuff. Ty Mello got pregnant, had a child, comes back. Now she wants to kind of get out of the wrestling business, seemingly. Anna Jay's been dealing with some injury stuff. And then you've had some makeshift tag teams, like even the Heian and Maya World, when they were fighting in the tag team division, like, they got relegated to ROH for their tag team stuff. The Inspiration, Jesse McKay and Cassie Lee, they got relegated to ROH, and it seems like maybe it's because you have more flexibility and storytelling with an ROH, and you can build a bigger division in ROH, and you can focus more attention on the women's wrestling in ROH. But it seems like ROH is where all the good women's wrestling, or like, ROH has a bigger focus on women's wrestling, I should say, than AEW's main programming. Like, I see that those accounts that, when they do the tapings in Jacksonville, and I see those guys giving, like, the scoops of which matches they see. There's a lot of women's wrestling at these ROH events. A lot of women's wrestling. Zeta Storm is being pushed. Maya World is getting pushed. Billy Starks gets pushed. Athena gets pushed. There's a lot of women's wrestling in the ROH tapings, and yet none of that gets translated to the main roster. And I don't know if it's TV related. I don't know if Tony Khan just doesn't want to focus on women's wrestling and on AEW television. I don't know what the focus is. Again, I don't have that insider knowledge. Just my assumption is just Tony Khan doesn't know how to book the women's division. And because he doesn't know how to book the women's division, generally speaking, when you look specifically at the women's tag team division, it's even worse, because you don't have established teams. I mean, why isn't the Inspiration on AEW main roster television? Why can't we have who is it? Christian XO and Trisha Dora. They're part of the Shane Taylor Promotions. Why can't they be a tag team and fight on the main roster? Why can't we get tag teams in here? I mean, you bring in Lacey Lane. Don't bring in her tag team partner from WWE, Casey Catanzaro. To me, that would be an easy pick, an easy person to sign. And now you have another tag team. Why don't you create new tag teams and actually put an emphasis on the division? Why are they never on the pay-per-views? Or if they are on the pay-per-views, why are they always on the pre-show? It's frustrating. And so this is my assumption. This is my belief based off what I feel about the division as a whole, is we have the best roster. We just don't know how to book them. Like is Nyla Rose, love her or hate her, Nyla Rose would be a great person to be part of the tag team division. Put somebody with her and give her some TV time, right? So now she doesn't have to go for the TNT belt, or I'm sorry, the TBS belt, or the women's world title, but you can put Nyla Rose, one of your homegrown talents from day one. Like, no, excuse me, I haven't seen where she's left AEW. Like, is she still on the roster? Like, Nyla Rose, I think, would be a great person that would benefit from the women's tag team division. You got to find a talent to put with her and build a compelling story and make us care. But it's like, oh, well, we're just going to feed the Divine Dominion to enhancement talent every week and make it seem like nobody's going to beat them, and then not give any credible threats. Every credible threat, we basically have them lose in the same fashion. And so part of it is lack of tag teams, but that goes back to just poor booking. They don't know how to book the women's division in general, which means obviously they don't know how to book the women's tag team division. And so now we're here and we're almost in August. So we're 8 months into this. We've had two title reigns in the entire history of the title, and both of them have been kind of mediocre. The title hasn't been enhanced. There hasn't been any, over the past 8 months, nothing major has happened to make people really give a shit about the AEW Women's Tag Team Championships. And that's sad, because I think Megan Bayne and Lena Cross are really good wrestlers. They're really good in the ring, and they bring, they got the look. You know what I mean? They got it. They got the look. They got the sex appeal. Like they're beautiful women, and they're being kind of treated, as if they're like an afterthought. And that entire division is being handled as an afterthought. And so my this is what I'm chalking it up to before we move into the bigger segment tonight. The women's division and the women's tag team division in AEW has potential, but until they learn how to book women's wrestling in AEW, it's just going to be an afterthought, a pre-show. We gave you the division to appease you because you've been asking us for it, and we really don't really want it, but we gave it to you anyway. And that's just kind of how I feel, and it's not anything the women are doing. I mean, the match between the Sisters of Sin and Divine Dominion on Wednesday was fantastic. Great match. We just don't have enough of it. And I really hate that we were, heading into pay-per-view week, and instead of putting that match on the pay-per-view, it gets put on Dynamite. And not even in the main event. It's just in the middle of a Dynamite. So it just sucks. Let's refresh for a moment here, and we're getting ready to transition to my favorite part of this show. I think it's everybody's favorite part of the show. We're getting ready for the monologue. This is the monologue, where we keep it real, we keep it raw, and we keep it relevant here on the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. And listen, there's rumors going out there that there are at least 7 unnamed talent that Tony Khan and AEW have intention to sign sometime in the near future. And I know some of them will be former WWE talent because that's just the landscape of the business. But I really want to give Tony Khan some advice, and I'm going to back it up here in just a moment. Tony Khan needs to be really hesitant and really get a grip on who from the WWE he brings into AEW. Because I have a feeling that a lot of the talent that, Tony Khan signs that are former WWE guys and gals go to AEW because they view it as a way to prove that they have what it takes to get back to WWE. They've seen what Cody Rhodes have done. They've seen what what even Drew McIntyre did in Impact, with Impact Wrestling TNA, and they're like, all right, they get fired from WWE. They work on themselves. They build this gimmick. They do really well in other places, and WWE will call them back. They've seen how like Stephanie Vaquer did really well in the AEW scene, and she was someone that AEW was looking to keep, and so they bring her over. Same thing with Mariah May, and countless others. And another one here is WWE superstar Paige, and this is what she had to say on Nikki and Brie Bella's podcast, the Nikki and Brie Show, from July 20th. There was a question that was asked about Paige's run as Saraya in AEW following her absence from the WWE, right? And so Paige says the following. Well, I did go to AEW and I did have a great time there, but my heart just wasn't in it. I feel like you could see that in my performance when I was in the ring and in my character. It was just like, I'm a WWE girl, man, and I love WWE. So yeah, I went there for a couple years, and then we went our separate ways. It ended really, really great, and I have nothing but love when it comes to AEW and Tony Khan and stuff like that. But when it comes to WWE, that's just where I want it to be forever. I've been there since I was 18 years old. I gave my neck for that company. I grew up here. And so I know how tempting it's going to be to sign guys like Malachi Black again, or Zelina, or any of the Wyatt Six, or the Motor City Machine Guns, or Santos Escobar, or Nikki Cross, or any of the wrestlers that have recently been released from the WWE. I know how tempting it is and has to be for AEW to say, we could get a really good talent here, and we can really do good things with these people. You got to be really hesitant, though, and really test the waters to say, are you using AEW because you want to get back at WWE, and your heart, it really isn't in it? And in fact, your heart is, hey, let's do a 3-year stint in AEW, and then after 3 years, I'm going back to WWE when they obviously come calling for me again. Or do you want to be a lifer in AEW? Do you want to spend the rest of your career in AEW? And I think Tony Khan has to ask those really hard questions. Like even Will Hobbs, or the formerly known Will Hobbs, what's his name? Royce Keys in WWE, said that like he's always wanted to be in WWE. And so even though he's not booked worth jack shit in WWE, the fact that he says he can say that he's a WWE wrestler checks off some sort of box. And like nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. I think that's great that he's same thing with Mariah May. Great, you checked off some box on your checklist of things you want to do in your career. But I think moving forward, Tony Khan really has to choose lifers over people that might get get a cheap pop, but their heart really isn't in being part of AEW. Think of how many people have burned AEW because they signed there and they just really didn't want to do anything with the company. I mean, I think CM Punk is a prime example of that. Of someone who chose AEW because that's the only avenue he was getting in to the pro wrestling world again. I think he had all intentions of coming back to WWE. He just had to find a way to get into the game first. And AEW was the only option for him at that time to get into the game and make his mark. And so there we go. We have CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Ricky Starks, Mariah May, all people that had pretty significant roles in AEW and then just suddenly just leave for whatever reason. And maybe it's a personal thing, maybe that's the goal, but at the end of the day, AEW has to look out for its own company and its own assets. And so the title's a little disingenuous because I don't think AEW maybe shouldn't ever hire another ex-WWE star again, but they really got to be hesitant and they got to pick and choose their battles because I think AEW should be the place where the up and coming homegrown star who has desires to be the biggest thing in pro wrestling and goes and they make AEW a homegrown name. And I think there are people that care more about the wrestling than the entertainment who would love to join AEW and be where the best wrestle and be where you get the entertainment for those who want to see the stuff in the ring and not necessarily the entertainment and stuff involved outside of it, especially the direction that WWE is going, where I feel like WWE is really pushing out all of the wrestlers, all of the guys and girls who want to wrestle, and they're bringing in performers or bringing in actors. That's why they're okay bringing in half of the New York Knicks. That's why they're okay with Tom Brady maybe teasing doing something. That's why because it's all acting and entertainment now. It's not wrestling. AEW needs to again understand they can build their own avenue where it's, hey, if you want to wrestle, if you want to be where the best and all of pro wrestling are, come to AEW. That's your dream. And man, it's just, I'm concerned because WWE, I read that article that I read about Paige and read that quote, and it just kind of made me sick to my stomach. You were a WWE girl, and she knew, right? She knew at the time she wasn't coming back to WWE. And so AEW was where she went because that was the only place that would give her a contract, that would clear her to wrestle. Because I don't think WWE was going to clear her to wrestle at any point. I think she had burned that bridge. I think they really thought that her neck was done and she wasn't going to be able to wrestle anymore. And so she goes to AEW where Tony Khan, says, you know what, I can turn this into something for a minute, make a big moment out of it. And she just kind of, had her one thing and then left. And then, yeah, maybe they left on good terms, but they really set back that women's division for a while with her as champion and that weird outcast story. And it made no sense. And the performances were awful. And I mean, I guess the best part about it was it gave us a segue to get to the Timeless Tony Storm gimmick. So maybe that's a blessing in disguise there, but it just was like she knew what she was doing. CM Punk knew what he was doing coming to AEW. It was totally to take Tony's money and to use Tony to be a stepping stool. And AEW has established itself, I think, to be a part of the wrestling infrastructure long enough now. They no longer have to put up with being the stepping stool to WWE. They should they should really evaluate the intent, the intentionality of the people that they may sign into the company going forward. And that's even more so than just ex-WWE guys, but even the independent people, the people that worked on the indie scene that are trying to get their first major pro wrestling contract. Like, you got to test that intentionality. Because if your entire intentionality is, I'll use AEW, get my name noticed in America, and then once WWE comes calling for me like they always do, I'm going to sign with WWE. If I'm Tony Khan, I'm not signing them either. Like, I want to make sure your intentionality is in the right spot. Like, do you want to be a part of AEW because you want to grow and build something with AEW, or is it only a stepping stone to the next part of your next chapter of your career? Do you intend on being here for a long time, or do you intend on just being here for a short period of time? And if so, I'm not going to sign you to a contract. Like, that's my recommendation to Tony Khan. Is you got to really be intentional in who you bring into this roster, because to be completely honest, the roster's already bloated as it is. So we don't really need to be bringing in these half-ass part-timers who don't really want to do anything but, get back at WWE for firing them, or bringing in these newbies that who only intention is to, get a little bit of money because Tony Khan will throw money around and they'll make a little bit of money, and their next adventure is to, break their contract to go to WWE when they start offering money. Like, you really got to be intentional about who you sign with AEW, because you're at the point now where you don't need to just sign everybody, right? I think 4 or 5 years ago when AEW was first starting, it was fine to just bring people in, right? Because they needed the roster, they needed the recognition. They were a newer company, and so if Jake Hager, Jack Swagger shows up on AEW, okay, that's facial recognition, but nowadays you've established yourself, and you just don't need to bring in everybody that, had a cup of coffee at the Fed. So that's just my opinion. There's four people, two tag teams that I would be okay with him bringing in, and that's Motor City Machine Guns and whatever Austin Creed and Kofi are going to call themselves. The former New Day. You know what I mean? So those are the only people I think really they should sign out of this next group of people. I don't think any of the other, the members of the Wyatt Six you don't need to bring in. I don't think Zelina you need to bring in, or Malachi Black. You don't need to bring him back. You have a roster. You have some holes in your tag team division that you can maybe use, and you can have some really good matches with the Young Bucks and Austin Creed and Kofi Kingston and Motor City Machine Guns. You don't need to bring in anybody else. You know what I mean? Like, they're just going to take space from the new talent that you're trying to build. And so I think AEW's roster is pretty well set. And so that's just my advice. Let me know what you guys think about today's episode in the comments of this video. Join the conversation there. Comment your thoughts below. Also, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. I'm Junkyard James. This is the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. Until next Thursday, when we talk about the fallout from tomorrow night AEW Redemption with me and Cody Marinera on the live stream. We'll see you then. But until then, I bid you adieu. Goodbye and good night. Bang. This is the Beyond the Junkyard podcast. Stay saucy, my friends. We'll see y'all on Thursday.
This is wrestling without the filter.